Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. I have been out and about gathering summer sloops, and there's a pretty good reason for it. So this is pretty nifty. We've already done the necessary research. We didn't have enough summer sloops. If we go into power here, there's this guy, the Alien Power Augmenter. And this thing is awesome. Essentially what it does, let's make this a 3x3 platform instead. What this thing does is it just gives you free power. It will generate 500 megawatts of power per, megawatts. You guys told me that megawatts, the term megawatts actually already includes a measurement for time. So it'll give us 500 megawatts of free power without any sort of fuel or anything like that. But then also, it will give us a flat 10% bonus to our entire power grid. So right now, we are making, we'll say roughly, we'll say 7,000 megawatts of power, just for easy math. This thing will then give us an additional 500, so we're making 7,500 megawatts, and then it'll give us an extra 10% on top for an additional 750. So this thing, just putting it down and having it hooked up to the power grid, this thing is going to give us roughly an extra 12 to 1,500 power. That's really good, because it doesn't require any fuel, it doesn't require any maintenance, it just kind of does its thing, and that is awesome. The other thing we want summer sloops for, and this is probably something in retrospect that I should have done much sooner, but it's too late for that now, is doubling. So, if we find, I just need to find like a, here we go, this will work. If I just throw this guy down here, and we just throw down a simple constructor, we'll just put it like right here, and hook it up to the grid, right? This thing, let's say power shards. You can see there's a spot here where we can put in a summer sloop, and that will double the output of this machine without requiring more resources to be input. So if you use this in a basic constructor for the cost of one summer sloop, which by the way does not actually get consumed, it just stays there and continues giving the boost until you take it out, we can take our power slugs, and I can throw these in here, and rather than getting 5 power shards per purple power slug, we'll actually get 10, which is a huge thing. That means we can get a ton of extra power shards. We can also use that on alien bits to get more DNA to put into the awesome sink. Like effectively, that means normally it would be 1-to-1, right? You take an alien remain of some sort, hog remains, hatch remains, whatever, and you craft it into one alien protein, and then you craft the one alien protein into an alien DNA. With this, that means I can take one hog remain, craft it into 2 alien protein, and then take those 2 alien proteins and turn them into 4 alien DNA, which I can then feed into the awesome sink. So this is something I should have done, honestly, a really long time ago, and I just didn't think of it until now. So lots of wasted power shards and alien DNA, but we'll have it going forward. This can also be super useful for the really advanced, complicated parts that you might be making. You know, you set up this giant factory and you're producing 5 of a part per minute. You can throw in summer sloops and turn that into 10. And the different machines, assemblers, constructors, etc. might require a different number of summer sloops. Constructors only require 1. I believe assemblers require 2 to double? We can find out. Yeah, 2, and then I think manufacturers might require 4. So I think it's like equal to the number of inputs into the machine. But I don't know for sure. I haven't checked every single machine. But either way, yeah, this is going to be super, super useful for us. So there we go. We now have 35 power shards. Oh, I had a bunch in my inventory already. Okay, got it. No, I don't want you. We got 35 power shards from those purple slugs. I thought we would actually get more than that. We should have gotten... Yeah, because you get 5. We should have gotten 50 there, I think. Maybe we did get 50 and I just didn't. Or maybe I took them out already. Either way, I'm going to get all this stuff processed up, and then we're going to start working on our project for today, which is a oil refinery plastic rubber factory thing. It'll be fun. I have picked out a location for our future oil factory, where we're going to make all of our plastic and rubber and all of that kind of stuff, as well as fuel, and I have extended this road all the way out there. So with this Explorer vehicle that I'm in right now, we can actually get over there fairly quickly. Walking would probably take about, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes. Driving, much faster, maybe like 2 minutes tops, something like that. So this kind of goes all the way over, and it goes to roughly here or so on the map. This is where we're going to be setting up the factory. There are a few oil nodes that are over there, and yeah, it's a good location, especially since there's a lot of flat space, since it's right near the water. And I believe this is our turn right here. You can see the road just kind of ends, but we can come down this ramp, and that's the spot right out there. That's where we're going to be building our factory. I think I'm going to rework this road just a little bit and bring it up a little. I don't know exactly how much yet, but when we get down here, there are some like rocks and other terrain features that the road will clip through if I keep it down here at this level right here. You can see it's going to run into these like coral things as well as the island kind of across the water over there. So I think I'm actually going to redo this, and I'm probably going to bring the road up to, I don't know, maybe here or so, maybe about like this level. Hopefully that will be high enough to clear. I don't know. I'll play around with it, but I want the factory itself to be kind of up here, out in the water, because it'll be a lot of open flat space. It'll be easy to sort of channel all the oil there, and that way we can make the road go directly to the factory. All right, my friends, after spending the last several hours working on this, the rubber and plastic factory is fully functional and up and running, but not very pretty. So what we have over there, we have 2 rows of refineries. Those are all making plastic. There are 10 in each row, so we have 20 refineries making plastic. Then here we have 20 refineries making rubber. All of those are also producing heavy oil residue as a byproduct, which is going into this row of 10 refineries and being turned into fuel. And it's producing enough fuel to power 20 fuel-burning generators. So that is essentially the whole setup. It is completely resource efficient, uses all the resources that go into it. It's running off of 2 pure oil nodes overclocked to 200% and 2 pure normal oil nodes. So each of these pipes is basically running off of 2 fully packed 600 cubic meter pipes. So two Mark II pipes that are completely full. That's what the whole factory is running off of. And this thing has been running for a while now. It's been running for a couple of hours. Maybe not that long, maybe like an hour or so. We are producing 400 rubber per minute and 400 plastic per minute, which is a pretty good amount. Enough, we filled up these storage containers pretty quickly, and then any excess is being sent into awesome sinks over here. So we're currently making about 100,000 points per minute in awesome sync coupons, so that's good. And then of course I've got them set up to these dimensional depot uploaders so that whenever I run out of plastic or rubber in my inventory, in my dimensional depot inventory over here, it just puts more in. So yeah, that's the whole setup. Now the problem is it does not look very good right now. It's just a platform with a bunch of stuff on it. And I think we are pretty much at the point now where we don't really have an excuse to be lazy and not make our factories actually look good. If I pull out a awesome shop right here, and we just throw this down real quick, print some coupons. If we go in here, you'll notice I have purchased pretty much everything at this point. There really aren't, other than this Caterium paint finish, which I will be buying shortly here. Other than that, I have purchased everything there is to purchase when it comes to actual building components. Yes, I can still use these tickets to buy various parts, circuit boards, AI limiters, all that kind of stuff, which is super convenient and nice. But when it comes to actually having components to build your factories with, foundations, different textures, beams, detail pieces, all that kind of stuff, we have all of it at this point. So I really don't have an excuse at this point anymore to be lazy and just make platforms with machines on them. It is time to take our building game in Satisfactory up to the next level and start redesigning some of these factories to really make them look good. So yeah, that's probably going to be the next thing on the agenda, I think. The question is, which factory do I start with? So I'm over here at our factory that is producing smart plating and automated wiring and all that kind of stuff. And I've just been doing some work on the aesthetics. Now, obviously, this is only a facade. I've got one wall. But I'm liking it. It's got kind of a brutalist vibe to it, a little bit, which I think is a style of architecture that works extremely well in this game specifically. Here we go. Let's grab a lookout tower real quick so I can climb up. So the plan is we're going to have kind of this lower section here. This will be a flat roof. And then in the back, we'll have another part of the building that sort of rises up a bit. And I think I might do like some diagonal, like supports sort of coming from here down at an angle onto this flat roof. I think that'll end up looking pretty cool. But yeah, it's time to do aesthetics. As I said earlier, we don't really have an excuse anymore. We need to make our factories actually look good, because right now they're kind of all just platforms with buildings on them. But this is actually the third factory that I'm working on when it comes to aesthetics. I already have two that are pretty much done. So let me run back to the desert and I'll show you those. Well, you can kind of see it there off in the distance. That is our motor and stator factory. And this is definitely the one that I put the most time into, by far. This thing is actually pretty cool. I like how it turned out. For the most part, there's a couple of parts that still need a little bit of love. But I think once it's fully finished, which I'll explain in just a second, it will look pretty good. So this is essentially split into two sides. And the side that we're on right now has this big kind of open like deck area, this extended bit that kind of sticks out with a roof on it. Right here, where I'm standing right now, this is where we are eventually going to run our train line. So I've kind of set this up in advance so that trains... I've planned ahead, essentially, so that when we set up our train network, this will be a train station where I am right now, which is why this part here looks a little like jank, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff that actually goes right where I'm standing right now. But then we've got kind of these large... the walls are fairly flat for the most part, windows concrete. But what I really like is this view over here. I think this looks pretty good. So we've got sort of a ramp that leads up, and this is where we're collecting all of the resources. So if I need to grab some motors, or if I need to grab some stators, I can do so right here. They're also feeding into these dimensional depots, so they'll restock in my my cloud inventory, so to speak. But then what I'm doing is I'm actually running these into some conveyor belts that go underneath, which are going to just be invisible. Because you'll see as we run these lines... Oh, I thought I ran this one too. I guess not. Okay, hold on. Let's fix that real quick. We just need to connect you up. You can see these lines run through a big sand hill, and they clip through, which doesn't look very good. But this is all going to be covered. No one's actually going to be able to see any of this, so it doesn't matter. And what's going to happen is those lines will run all the way underneath the building and pop out under here, where they can then be easily fed into the train network once we set up our trains. They'll be probably like, I forget what it's called. Transport, here we go, these freight platforms. They will feed into these, and this is how the trains will actually load and unload and all that kind of stuff. So you can see this is big enough where I can have a centered train line, and that's where those resources will feed into to be loaded into the train network. So we're running the output all the way underneath the factory to over here. But yeah, I like this a lot. I think it turned out pretty well. There's a lot of stuff here with these are painted beams, and then they're applied the chrome finish onto them. We went with this sort of polished concrete here, which I think looks pretty good for most of the floors outside. Once you get inside, we just go to factory floors. I didn't really do much here. Up above, we've got kind of this loading bay window, again lined with the painted beams with the chrome finish, coming down with these lifts to run everything from up there to down here, just for easy access. So yeah, I think this actually turned out pretty well. I think if you look at it from a distance, let's maybe just throw down like a watchtower kind of on the top of this hill, like, well, let's say right here. Lookout tower. There we go. Where's the ladder? There it is. You can see this actually looks pretty sweet. I like it. I think it turned out okay. Maybe would have done things a little bit differently. I realized after I got about halfway through building it that I probably should have pushed out one more foundation just to give myself more depth to work with. But at that point, I was already committed, so I was like, whatever. It's fine. But I don't know. I like it. I think it's good. And then the last factory that I did an aesthetic overhaul on is over this way. And I believe it is the Copper Sheets factory. It's just behind this big rock right over here, I believe. Here we go. So this one's kind of interesting because it's split into two sort of smaller factories. We have one here, and this is just where the copper is being converted into ingots. And I kept this very, very simple because it's really small. It's just some walls, some windows, again, painted beams here to sort of line the windows. And then I really like using the foundation, the asphalt foundation, and then dyeing it black. I think it actually looks I think it's a pretty good roof, like a flat roof. But yeah, this is the little bit here where all the ingots are being made. And then it goes sort of up this and into sort of a matching building over here where those ingots are then being turned into copper sheets right over here. I'm not super happy with this, like, sort of corner, but whatever. It's fine. So yeah, just some minor aesthetic things. Honestly, this game is capable of so much more. And I think going forward as we build new factories, I'm going to try and put a lot more effort into making them look pretty. But for now, I'm just kind of doing like little minor aesthetic overhauls on my existing ones. And some of these are still going to get torn down. Like, if we pop up here and we kind of look back over... Well, actually, this you can't really see. Maybe we can see from the top of the encased industrial beam factory. I do think most of these guys off in the distance over here, most of the stuff that's kind of near the space elevator, I guess you would say, is probably going to get torn down and rebuilt. Like this little concrete setup right here. This doesn't need to be here anymore. We can get rid of that entirely, rebuild it, and we can make maybe one mega factory over here that has all of this stuff in it. Or perhaps we just say, hey, you know what? We can set up factories for this stuff elsewhere. I don't know yet what I want to do, but I do know that the majority of this stuff is not permanent. The majority of this stuff is going to get torn down and rebuilt at some point in the relatively near future-ish. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I don't know. It's nice to have some progress being made. One thing I will say, though, there is one more technological advancement that I can use as an excuse to not have to overhaul all of my existing factories from a design and aesthetic standpoint. And that is the hover pack, which is not unlocked until you get to the next tier. So I think before I do too much more with aesthetics, I mean, obviously, when we build new stuff, I'm going to try and think about it from a design perspective, like as I'm building it, rather than having to build the whole thing and then go back and do it later. But I think it would be good for us to focus on modular engines and adaptive control units. Neither of these are super complicated. We might actually just be able to like do this, because right now we are automating all three of these components, motors, rubber, and smart plating. So we could do perhaps kind of the jank setup where you just throw down a manufacturer or an assembler or something along those lines and just run 3 storage containers into it and manually load the storage containers. It would work. It's not like we need a vast quantity of these resources. We need 500 of the what are they called? Automated motors or something? Modular engines. That's what it is. We need 500 of these and 100 of these. That's really not that bad. So I might do that just to get us to the next tier so I can get the hover pack. I'm kind of leaning towards doing that. I don't know. I still need to think about it. right now we are not mass producing circuit boards or computers, which are needed for the adaptive control units. And circuit boards are somewhat simple, plastic and copper sheets. That's not anything too ridiculous. Or there's a bunch of alternate recipes as well. And then computers are a bit more complex. Here we go. Computers, you need to use circuit boards, and then also some other stuff too, depending on what recipe you end up going with. So that'll be a little bit more complicated, but the thing is, we only need 100 of them. And if we only need 100 of them, that means I need 500 circuit boards, 100 heavy modular frames, 200 computers, and 500 automated wiring, which I absolutely have. We're automating those and have been for a while. So we might just be able to go into the awesome sink and just buy the stuff we need if I don't have enough of it sitting around. Because I can go in here to parts. I mean, computers, 50 computers is 6 tickets. That's a lot. But I don't need that many. I think I only needed, what, like 100 of them? Or something like that? 200. And I'm fairly sure that I've got some just, like, sitting around. In here, maybe, or over in here. Yeah, I've got a bunch of computers sitting around here. So, like, we won't probably have to buy that much stuff. We might have enough to just sort of brute force it. Which isn't necessarily ideal. But it would work, and it would get me to the hover pack, which will make building so much easier, because then I can just, as long as you're near, like a power pole, not only can you fly, but you can actually, like, hover in place. So it's kind of like creative flight from Minecraft, but it's a bit limited, because you have to be within the vicinity of a power pole or power node of some sort. So, I don't know. Something to think about. I'll have to decide what I want to do. But I do think that that is about all the time we have for today, my friends. So, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.